Yesterday we talked to a Labour TD on the programme, and Anne Ferris actually, just at the end of the programme, and she was very gracious in talking about her personal life and telling us about the sister that she discovered she had only recently actually met up with her. She knew she'd been adopted. She herself at 17 had a child and had that child adopted, so it's a very big story in her life, and it inspired a call from one of our listeners in the west of the county, Mary Garvey, to contact us. We're delighted she did, because she's got a story to tell that I'm sure you'll find very interesting indeed. She's got her daughter Mary with her today as well, a bit of moral support, and it's nice to see you both, and thank you for joining us, Mary.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Mary, you're 76 now.
76, yeah.
When did you find out that you were adopted?
Well, I would say it was about 14 or 15. Roughly about that.
You remember quite a lot, don't you?
I do. You know, it's all, a lot of it's coming back to me.
Start at the beginning. Start about with the first memories of I think it was it arriving by train?
Well, when I arrived by train in Strabane, there was 4 other girls came along with me, and the ladies were there to pick them up too, along with my mother, adopted mother, and they were all picked, and I was the last picked. And there was a lady alongside my mother. They were great friends, and she says to me, tell my mother, she says, how, she says, did you manage to get the nice small girl? She says. That was a laugh between them.
That was you?
That was me.
So whenever you arrived by train, there was 4 children, you remember that?
Yeah.
And these people were waiting at the train station in Strabane?
Strabane.
Was it 4 mums?
4, no.
4 people?
4 women that was in it.
Yeah. Four women wanted to adopt.
They were all married except my mother.
Okay. Your mother wasn't married?
She wasn't married.
And they had their pick of who they wanted?
No, the lady that came with us from Dublin.
Yes.
It was her that gave each one to give to... She gave me to my mother, to Mary Boyle, and she gave the rest of them to the other women then.
So did your mother have any say in you or not?
No, she didn't. No, not that I know of, no.
So here's your new daughter, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and you remember that? And you remember getting on the bus then, don't you?
I remember then going on a train and to Letterkenny that time.
Okay.
There was a train going up to Letterkenny, and then we got on the bus then, and we came into Loughanure on the bus, and the bus stopped there where the college is at Loughanure and the shop is, and we came off the bus, and the first person that met me or greeted me was the dog they had. The dog was now a bit, the bus stop was a bit from where the house was, and the dog was over at the bus, and the dog started jumping up and playing with me.
Isn't it funny what you remember?
Yeah, I remember that very well.
Yeah. And how old were you?
7 years.
7 years.
And I was we said goodbye to the rest of them, and that we would see one another later on. And I was taken to my home. And I went into the home, and the old man was there, my grandfather, and my uncle Jared, he was there. He wasn't married either. And there was 2 uncles in England. So I went in and I sat up in the corner, and people started coming in to see me and all this, and of course I was blubbering or crying.
Yeah.
And
it's all strange, you see.
I picked up a lot of money when they went away. There was a lot of money on the table for me.
For you?
Yeah. The people was coming in and they were leaving the old 10 shilling note. And
did that make you smile?
No, it didn't. It didn't. But anyhow, I got on fairly good, and then when it came to bedtime, myself and my mother went up to bed. And
your mother wasn't married?
No, she wasn't married.
Right.
And went to bed, and the students were coming to Loughanure. That's the first year they came to Loughanure, the college crowd, and she was keeping them, and we slept upstairs, and she had the rooms ready for the rest of the students when they were. And I hadn't a word of Irish. And when the students left Loughanure that year, I had the Irish.
It's not amazing.
I picked up the Irish because we were afraid to speak English at that time. They were very, very strict on the English that time. So the next day then I got up and there was a lady next door and I went out to her house. And I always remember the Lincoln biscuits. She gave me a fistful of Lincoln biscuits and she said to me, do you know, she says, Mary, you shouldn't be out without telling that you came out. Well, I said, I'm only just in, just to see. And she left me in back in again. So my mother said to me then, she says, you shouldn't have went without telling me.
Was that your first telling off?
That was my first telling off.
Right.
So then the second telling off was then that I was very near killed that evening. We went down to the lake in Loughanure where they had a field down there and they had 2 cows. And we were coming back up at the back of the house. There was a pad coming to the byre and the half doors there was on that time and the bottom half door was closed. She went in front of the front of the cows, and the 2 cows turned around, started to fight, and I was down in the middle of them, lying down on the ground in the middle of them.
The middle of 2 fighting cows?
2 fighting cows.
Right.
But I got off lucky. I only got my ankle hurt. And there was a man on the roof that time, and he said, he jumped off the roof, he thought I was killed. He says, the young lady's killed in her only here one day.
Oh, with the cows.
So...
what did your mum say?
Oh, she was in an awful state. She was in an awful state. So then we got ready then and prepared for school. And it was another one of the other ladies that took us down to school and down into school, and they had a great welcome there for us and came back up again.
Was it a happy life?
Oh, a real happy life. A real happy life.
Can you tell me, before you were adopted, because you were adopted at 7, where were you before that?
Well, I must have been, I don't know whether it was what time or when I came to England. Or to Dublin, sorry.
You were in England, were you?
I was born in England. And I was adopted when I was 2 years to a lady in County Wicklow.
Were you born in a mother-baby home in England, or...?
That's what I can't... I can't...
Just pull that mic in there, Mary. Just turn it round to you. That's it. Great stuff. This is your daughter, Mary. Because you've obviously a big part of this story as well now, and learning so much as you go along. And you think maybe Mum was born in a mother and baby?
Yeah, because we met a cousin of my mum or my grandmother, and she had said that they had, I think what she had said was, if I remember correctly, is that Kathleen and her sisters were in England or had gone to England, and now she says the sisters weren't aware that Kathleen was pregnant. So I think, from what I understand, is that she was born maybe in a mother... Kathleen, which would be my mum's mum.
Yeah.
And that my mum was born in a mother and baby home there, and then was sent back to Dublin to maybe a nursery, some type of nursery or baby home in Dublin. And then at whatever age, we're not 100% sure when, she was actually fostered in Wicklow, and she spent some time there in Wicklow, and then came from Wicklow then here to Donegal.
At 7?
Yeah, at 7 years of age,
yeah. Okay, so do you remember much before 7? Before arriving in
I remember now going to the convent to school, and there were in Wicklow,
yes.
And there was a lot of the boys. This woman that fostered me, she had a family of her own, and this is what she used to do. She used to foster children, per se. And I remember going to the convent with the boys, and they were the only boys that was at the convent.
Do you remember being happy before you were adopted?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
The house I stayed in when I was fostered.
So you've no unhappy memories?
No, I had no unhappy.
Which really would make you understand, or make me understand, how arriving here, no matter whether there was fivers and bobs thrown on the table... Didn't matter. You had a happy enough existence.
I didn't, yeah.
And you were thrown among strangers, really. Yeah. So it was a very difficult time for you, confusing time, but luckily you had such warm people around you, and your mum
that was it.
Made it easier.
Oh, she made it. She was a real mum, but...
How unusual was it, Mary, for a woman on her own then to be able to adopt? Because I thought in those days it had to be a couple.
Well, many a time that's been talked about since, how she managed to adopt me, but it must have been... I don't know how now she would...
She never had children.
She never had children. She was never married. The brother wasn't married either. The two of them lived there together with their father. The mother was dead. And I don't know how long after that. The father lived a long time after that.
And you were brought up by them? But
I was brought up by them, and I couldn't have got a better home.
That's excellent.
Better home.
That's excellent. And very, I think, because we're going back now a long time, we're going back 70 years nearly.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise that a single woman could adopt then. But
well, I didn't know. A lot of people says that too, do you know?
There was, what my granny would have told me was how this all came about was, it was announced off the altar in the chapel that if anyone wanted, this is how she put it, if anybody wanted to get a boy or girl, to go to the priest and get the form and fill in the form. And that's what she did. She filled in the form and handed the form in, and there was never any checks done as to what type of house, where they were going, who they were going to stay with, and that was it. And then they were just notified whatever length of time afterwards to be in Strabane on a certain day at a certain time and pick up their children.
You know, you look back at it.
Yeah.
Did you encounter any problems growing up as a child from other siblings, other children, should I say, who might have said, "Where's your dad?" Or
No.
There was no cruelty.
There was no cruelty. I can say I had the greatest life ever, and right up to now. And I have the greatest family and grandchildren and neighbours, and the people of Loughanure are really very good to me. I can say that. There's not a house in Loughanure but I can walk into.
When you hear all these stories, and we know there are very hard stories
I
out there.
Listen to it, yeah.
You hear them.
I do hear them, yeah.
It's not your story, is it? No. But do you count yourself as lucky then that you weren't one of those?
I always say that I was the luckiest one of the lot. Yeah.
Because it's sad when you hear other people's stories.
Oh, it is sad, yeah. I didn't have... Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I didn't have to go to Scotland or England or anywhere at all to work.
A lot of the others would have left.
Yeah.
Potato picking and whatever. What do they call it? Tatty hoke.
Yeah, tatty hoke and things like that.
Maya and that.
Maya, poor Maya.
Yeah. You had none of that. So then you went on to marry.
I went on to marry. I met my husband, Paddy.
How did you meet him?
Well, I used to be back and forth at the home because his mother and my mother's father were brother and sister.
Right.
So I used to be over doing, when I was more old-fashioned, I used to be over doing bits and pieces for the mother and father.
So let me get that right. His mother
and my grandfather were brother and sister.
So had there been a bloodline, you'd have been related?
Yeah.
But there wasn't, of course.
But there was no bloodline. No. And
how old were you when you met him?
Oh, I was...
Well, you probably would have known him kind of all your life.
I kind of knew him all my life, you know. And
what age were you when you got married?
24, I think.
24. Yeah. And
we were going together for 9 years.
Right.
So that left me 7 years, wasn't it?
Yeah. So you had
17 years, I mean.
You got to know him well before you married him, anyway.
Yeah.
And you lasted a long time.
Lasted a long time.
How long were you married?
We'll be married 50. If he was living now, we'll be married 50 years this September, 15th of September.
When did he die?
He died 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was a big blow.
Yeah, it was a terrible blow, yeah.
Yeah. And it was after that you decided to look for Mum, wasn't it? Really? Or your family?
Yeah, well, after that, we tried to look, but...
You didn't really want to look while your mother was alive, did you?
No, that's why
your adoptive mother.
Because she was my mother like that. It went like that she was, you know, because I didn't know my adopted mother. But the only thing that annoys me now is that I'm sorry that I didn't look before, but then I didn't want to do it in case I would upset my adopted mother.
Do you think you would have upset her?
I don't think so, because she spoke very often about her.
And she asked you to pray for her?
She asked me to pray for her.
She never hid it?
No.
Did she know anything about this lady or not? She didn't really know her history or anything, did she?
No, she didn't.
No.
Nobody knew about her.
No. But you just thought, because you loved your mum, and you said, I'm not going to do anything that might even hurt her. But looking back, you don't even think you would have hurt her. But anyway, you didn't want to take the risk.
I didn't want to take the risk.
And obviously you waited then till she died, until your husband died as well, and you waited a few years, and then what did you do?
Myself and Owen. I says to him, we should try and follow up my people. And he got talking to this lady when he was out on the post, and she was on a committee, or they had a committee laid out some of these girls that came, but I wasn't mixed up with. And she told him that I should follow up, and she gave him the details of the places in Dublin, and he did that. But a good while before we bothered with it, and then a good while before they bothered with us. So finish up, we got in contact secondly again, and I says to her now, I says, you better get in contact with the Dublin crowd, because I'm not getting younger. I says, as older I'm getting, and you never know in the times there's in it now. So he did, and we started on now, and I don't know how long it was till I got the phone call from this lady in Dublin that she met, or she was talking to one of my brothers, and that was Johnny O'Sullivan in Castletown Bay. And she said, now take it easy, Mary, she says, because he doesn't want to rush into it. So I couldn't. That day when I got the message, I phoned Owen at work when he was out of the post, and I said, Owen, I says, I can't wait till tomorrow, I says, to phone Johnny. I says, can I go down to your house and phone when you come in from work? He says, okay. But he says, you should take it easy. So I couldn't. So I went down anyhow when Owen came in from work, and Owen put me through to him. And I says, hello, Johnny. I says, this is Mary McGarvey, your sister. Oh, he was all in all, talked away for a little while. Well, he says to me, he says, Mary, he says, would you mind if I ring you back? And he says, what time would it suit? I says, any time up till 12 o'clock. So, of course, I stayed in Owen for a wee while playing about with the children. And when I went back up home, there was a phone call there saying that it was Johnny and he wanted to talk to me. So I rang him then, and I had a great crack with him altogether. Delighted, so I was. Could jump over the house. And I was talking to his wife then, and he told me all about him and the amount of family, and there was one of the daughters getting married just a couple of weeks after that, and all this crack. So
how many in the family? How many? Did he tell you about your mum then?
He did. He said the mum and dad was dead, but he told me then that the majority of the family was in England. There was 4 of them in Cork, and 5 of them in England.
So how many children did you have?
There was 11 altogether.
And
there's 11 after me. I'm the oldest.
12 children she had. And are you the only one that was offered for adoption?
That's it. She got married after, seems.
So they all have the same daddy?
They all have the same daddy.
But not you?
Well, I don't know about that.
You don't know?
I never, but I just leave it as it is, my daddy. I never went into details about that.
So you don't know whether he should, because that happened as well. Sometimes, the first child might have been given up, and she may have gone on to marry that man. Sometimes it was a different man, and then she met somebody else.
Yeah.
You don't know that then?
I don't know that.
Do you just prefer to think that?
Well, I prefer to leave it as it is.
Not look any further?
No, not.
What did you hear about your mum?
Well, I heard about it she was a top worker, and she was a great one for music, like myself. I'm steady listening to Highland radio. It's never off. And she read the 11, or 11, huh?
11, yeah.
11, she read 11 of the family.
Were you shocked when you heard that?
I was.
Yeah.
And there was only one girl along with myself.
Tell me this now. Did that make you cry?
It did.
Yes.
It did. It made me cry a bit,
Of course.
And then when I met them, that was more emotional.
Yeah.
But
what was that like? Tell me about the meeting.
Oh, it was really terrific, It was great.
How did you meet them?
Well, myself and Mary went to Castletown Bay. We went on a bus and then on a train, and my brother Neely, we got to know him. I got to know him, and he came to Kilkenny, wasn't it?
How many have you met altogether?
Yeah.
How many of them?
You've met them all.
Met them all?
I met them all, yeah.
How many are living now then?
9.
9. All right.
9.
And you've
There's
met them
2
all.
of them dead.
And do you look like your sister or?
Well,
More like the brothers.
more like the brothers, you know.
All right.
Yeah, there's one of them now, Neely. He's in Castletown Bear, and he has a big bed and breakfast place there, and that's where we stay when we go down. And
What did they think of meeting you? Were they surprised?
they were surprised.
They didn't know about
They
you.
didn't know. Nobody down and round there knew about it.
And your mother never talked.
She never.
And does that hurt?
No, not really.
You're very matter of. You're just taking it sort of on the chin.
Not
really, haven't you? Yeah.
really. You know, I'm really.
Pragmatic about. The
I'm
whole
really,
thing, yeah.
and I'm really very happy
Yeah.
now. I'm happy all my life, you know, but I'm more happier now when I know that I have another family, you know.
Yeah. Put the pieces together.
But,
And what about Mom? When did she die?
she died
1992.
1992.
And is that a big regret that you never got to meet her?
That is, yeah, I think often on that.
Yeah. Does she look like you? Mary says she does.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think now, the way I was told by a woman when I was down the last time in Castletown Bay, that I have the same way of going and all, you know,
As she did.
working and
Yeah.
moving about, can't sit, singing.
You sing too?
I love. No, well, I don't sing. I just listen through the house.
Lilting.
Yeah, and listening to the radio. Radio's going from 8 o'clock in the morning. That's now not Highland radio. I put on Radio the Girl for the news.
Yes.
And from Radio the Girl that's finished at 9. Highland radio come on. I get the news at Highland radio.
We have a good relationship with that radio negotiator. That's what happens, isn't it? Yeah.
And then Highland radio's on all day.
Well, that's good to hear.
All day.
Yeah. And you lilt.
I am singing. I can't remember it. I can't memorize any songs.
So you'll just la-di-da-di-da to it. Good. Now, we've got pictures online now because Owen, we all know, is a well-known journalist, photographer and postman and all of that. So he's put up the photos. He's given them to us, and have we got a picture of your mum? We have, yeah. We've put it online so people can look at the similarities. Now, daughter Mary,
Yeah.
what has this meant to you?
Well, it's like a whole new world because my dad, Mum was there on her own at the corner in Loughanure, as we say. She had cousins in England, but my dad only had 2 brothers, and they only had 1 child each. My Uncle John had a daughter and my Uncle Dan had a son, so that was the only first cousins we had. Now I don't know how many I have, and it's just unreal, you know. It took a while for me I had, obviously we got the news and there was so many more and all the rest of it, and it actually took a couple of weeks, you know, for it to sink in, to think, oh my God, I have a family out there that we knew nothing about.
What were you conscious growing up of not having a granddad?
Well, I would have had my
a dad, as in, sorry, a granddad as in your mother's side.
Yeah.
Not
really,
no.
because as I say, my granny at the corner and her brother Jared were there, so
Right.
we looked at them as our grandparents,
Okay.
and that was it.
But were you always keen to know more?
Yeah, we always knew, as I say, you always knew there had to be somebody else
Yes.
out there. And again, I would
Not
have
11.
Not 11, no. And I was reared with my granny. I moved from I was 7. I moved over to my granny and I was reared with her, so we often talked about it. And she would have said, you know, I spoke to her about finding out who our parents were, and she had said that her brothers in England had done that, had tried, but had come up against a brick wall. So for this to have happened, it was just amazing.
So they knew.
They knew, everybody, as I say, they knew that she was born in England, and from the birth certificate, the address on the birth certificate, and they had gone there and tried to get information, but there was nothing forthcoming.
And I mean, there's a caller saying you found it easy to pick up the Irish as well. I mean, that seems amazing to somebody, but it was natural to you almost, wasn't it?
It was natural, yeah.
Well, living in the Gaeltacht as well.
Because my grandfather, he mostly all Irish, he spoke.
Yes.
And then at that time they were more stricter in colleges, Irish colleges, than they are now. And That's how I picked it up.
I mean, and you've obviously got a gift in the family, because those grandsons of yours are great at the old pens.
Oh yeah, no, they're two great lads. Yeah,
and they've got now. This is Owen's sons. They've managed to get pens into the White House. And when President Obama came here, they were presented at that big function.
Yes, they've done well. Yeah,
and they didn't even mind giving me one as well. I got a pen off them. Listen, it's great to hear you on the radio. A great mother and grandmother with a proud family, a caller says, and well done, Granny.
The grandfather, the grandchildren are my glory.
Ronan, Aoife, Connor, and Anya have sent in a message saying, "Well done, Granny." Right, they're your life.
And they're all very good. Now, Mary, now 2 boys, her little boy died. That was the worst part on me, you know. My mother died and my husband died, Paddy.
Yeah.
But Mary's little lad, Aaron, he died when he was only 7. And that killed me out totally, knocked the bottom out of me. That was the worst thing.
So, Mary, tell me what your children were.
I had 3 boys, Dara, Caelan and Aaron, and at 7 Aaron was diagnosed with a brain tumour and he died 2 years later. Yeah.
So
and that was actually the first time, it was during his week, that Mum's 2 brothers, Neely and Johnny, actually travelled. That was the first meeting we had, was they came up to Aaron's wake and funeral. Yeah.
Sad.
It's sad, but it was nice. It was
nice.
You know,
It was
to
nice
meet them then. It was lovely of them, because we had no contact previous, but it was very good of them to do that. Like.
Well, my mother lost her child at 6 with leukemia. Now I don't remember it because I wasn't around. And I know that it just had a terrible impact on my mum and dad. You know, I can't imagine what that was like for you.
It was awful. There's nothing else. You know, there's nothing else worse can happen to you in your life. But you learn to live with it. Like, the pain never goes away, but you just learn to live with it.
How long did he live with the condition?
2 years. 2 years.
And did you always know there was?
Well, I think he was diagnosed in the October, and I think if we were totally been, and we were, I would have been very realistic, and I think had it been anywhere else other than his brain, he would have felt there was hope. You know, that there was a chance, and very early on, I personally would have accepted that, you know, his chances were very limited, like, you know, and that would have helped me along them 2 years. Like, you know, I think I actually had accepted early on that he was going to die. Like, everything was that possibly could be done was done for him in Crumlin and in Beaumont, and all the treatment and everything like that. But
what did you draw upon for strength then?
I think it was prayer and just support from family and from neighbours. As Mum said earlier on, we just have the people of Loughanure and family and friends were magic, like, you know, when they were there and stood behind us. Not only Loughanure, from all over, like, you know, the support and just everybody's there, and, you know, to support you whatever way is needed, like, you know, and you just learned how kind people were and how good people were, and that even now I would look back, of course it's all there's a lot of negativity, but from the help and the care and the kindness that was shown to us then, that's what I would take. I would try and take the positive rather than the negative from it.
I can see that in you, you know, because I mean, obviously there's a big pain in your heart, you know, but you're not focusing all on that. No. Although you'd be very understandable.
Yeah.
And those parents who never ever come to terms with it, you know, and that's understandable, you know, everyone deals with it differently.
But and going back to Mum, my granny and that, I think it was from her as well, because she always said, if there's something you can't fix, you don't fight it, you need to let it go. And that's how she lived her life, and I think she spoke very wise words.
So Granny, how did you handle that then? You said that was the worst thing that could happen.
It was very sore, and it's still sore on me, you know.
Yes.
I still can't stop thinking of him, and I have pictures of him all around my home. And
how did you help your daughter, do you think, then? What was your attitude? How did you, because you had to try and bring your daughter through this.
I did, yeah.
So what did you used to say to her?
Well, you just have to just wait and pray that everything will go okay and that you'll get over it.
Yeah.
You won't get over it. You'll never get over it. It's the thing, you never get over a death. Doesn't matter how old you are. But I just said to her, just keep praying, and
she was always there.
I was always there for her, you know.
Makes the difference.
We only just live a little bit from each other, the road. She lives at the crossroads and I live just a bit over.
So that's been a big negative, but then you were blessed with him. He was obviously very special to you. So you held on to those great thoughts.
But grandchildren are really great. You know, I have many have I?
13 in total.
13 in total. And I have Dennis now, and his children are down behind me, living down behind my house.
Yeah.
And then I have another lad in Goddard, Patrick, and he has 2, and there's one of them a great singer.
He's 3.
3.
3, sorry.
Don't miss the third
the
one.
oldest lad, that's how I'm forgetting.
I can understand that. When
He's in
you
Australia.
see, grandparents, they have to keep count of these, you see.
Very hard sometimes.
Parents only have to count the ones they have. You have to count the ones they all have, you know. Well, listen, you're a lovely lady, and from listening to you, the experience of what happened, it doesn't seem to have harmed you in any way.
No, it didn't.
Now, there are regrets, of course, because you never got to meet your mum, and you'd love to know, you'd love to have had that contact.
Yeah, I would love to have that contact. And I would love to, that my husband and my adopted mother would have met them too. Do you know that? I still think on that, but it can't be helped.
Yeah. And your mother, your adoptive mum, she was wonderful to you. She was.
She was.
Yeah. She treated you just as if.
Just her own daughter, maybe better.
Yeah. I want to say this is a lovely story, and Mary is an amazing lady and so interesting to talk to. Wishing her and her family good luck. And that's from I think it might be a Margaret McCafferty or MG McCafferty. Well done, Mary. Lovely to hear you on Highland from Mary, Teresa, Ali and the family. And well done, Mary. What a great story and interview, and best wishes from John Sweeney and the family. And you're a breath of fresh air, and God bless you, said the caller as well. You know, I mean, you've really had an impact on, I think, because of your warmth and you've no resentment, and I understand why people do have that, by the way, but this is a different take on the whole story, isn't it? Yeah. And you really feel blessed that you didn't have those experiences.
Yeah. I do, yeah.
What's the gold pin now?
That's the Pioneers, 50 years of Pioneer.
I can't offer you a drink then.
No.
Coffee, maybe.
Tea. No, not even coffee.
Not even coffee.
No, not coffee.
Oof. That gives you too much of a jittery feeling, doesn't it? And
No, I never drank in my life, and my husband didn't either, but the rest of them didn't follow us. Well, Owen did.
he did. The rest of them thought, well, you can have your pen.
No, I have nothing against drink now if it's taken in moderation.
Sure.
I can go out and to any pub or hotel or anything and enjoy myself on a 7-Up. But I don't like people taking drink and going
Changing.
Going too far.
And changing, yeah.
But and we do have a wee shebeen now in the house.
A what?
A shebeen, as they call it. We do have it on a Saturday night.
What's a
after mass.
shebeen now?
Well, we come to my house and go to Mary's house and the lady next door, and we. This is not on Highland Radio, no.
It is, yeah.
Oh.
Sorry about that. What's a shebeen now?
What we do is we get together on a Saturday night after Mass, a cup of tea and a sandwich or something tea'd, and then a couple of drinks. A shebeen was somewhere that there was
used to call that long ago.
Is that where you head away? And
yes, and drank
podging and things like that.
Yeah,
Right.
you podging, had the podging long ago.
We don't have podging.
No, and do you partake then?
No, she doesn't.
No, you just go to the shebeen without the podging.
I go to the shebeen without the podging.
Yeah, there's no podging anyway. Right, we'll leave that one. I'll be getting that gold pin taken off you for bad behaviour. Anyway, it's great to see you both, and thanks for telling us that story. Really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much, Sean, for having us on.
Lovely to see you. Thanks, Mary and Mary.
Mary Ward, Mary Vug.
There you go. Gora Maiagat.
Gora Mila Maiagat. This is my first time inside in Highland Radio.